From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. Defense Minister Bill Blair says Canada could speed up its timeline to meet its NATO defense spending commitments sooner than 2032. Republicans have criticized the spending target for being too far away, but Blair says he'll need help to do it more quickly.
I've asked our allies, particularly the Americans, for help, because so much of what I have to acquire is going to be from American industry. And the regimes that are currently in place for military sales, congressional approvals, even the rules with respect to how I engage with their industries, frankly, are slowing us down.
The Business Council of Canada says Ottawa's going too slowly and should move up its timeline by about 2 years. 3 of the 5 hockey players charged with sexual assault after an alleged incident following a Hockey Canada event in 2018 were in court today. Canadian Press reporter Paula Larigio was there for their first appearance.
We had Alex Formanton, Michael McLeod, and Dylan Dubé here. Unfortunately, we can't really say anything of what's going on in court due to a publication ban that's meant to protect the accused's right to a fair trial.
Several weeks have been set aside for legal arguments before their trial is set to begin in April. Immigration Minister Mark Miller says more reforms to Canada's immigration and asylum systems will be proposed in the coming weeks. He says the asylum and refugee system just isn't working the way it should. He blames volume and inefficiency. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland says the federal government hopes a temporary break on GST will address a vibecession. That's how she describes the disconnect between recent good news on inflation and interest rates and how Canadians feel about the economy. New data from Quebec's Auto Insurance Board shows evening road accidents rise sharply in the 30 days after the fall time change. The data comes as Quebec holds consultations on possibly scrapping the practice of moving the clocks forward an hour in the spring and then back in the fall. Thousands of Microsoft 365 customers around the world had issues today with services like Outlook and Teams. Microsoft says its fix has reached 98% of affected environments by around midday, but thousands of people were still reporting problems. Toronto's traffic was so bad last night, the visiting Utah NHL team had to get off their team bus and walk to the arena.
Walking pre-game to get to the rink because there's way too much traffic. The bus was not moving at all. So it's just pretty much the whole team walking the street. 5:15 where meeting is in 1 minute to get there. So I think that's a first for everyone. Never saw that before.
The Utah Hockey Club posted video to social media of their players walking the final blocks to the team's first ever game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs' Alex and William Nylander took the subway to the rink. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, it's a busy night in the National Hockey League with 11 games on the schedule. As for Canadian content, the Winnipeg Jets are in Minnesota. The Calgary Flames are in Ottawa. Maple Leafs goaltender Joseph Woll's being rewarded for his strong play last week. He's the NHL's 3rd Star of the Week after recording a pair of victories for Toronto. Vanni Sartini is out as head coach of the Vancouver Whitecaps. His firing comes a couple of weeks after the Major League Soccer club was ousted in the first round of the playoffs. It appears former Toronto Blue Jays left-hander Yusei Kikuchi is headed west. Reports say he has agreed to a 3-year deal with the Los Angeles Angels worth $63 million U.S. And 2 U.S. senators are urging FIFA not to pick Saudi Arabia to host the 2034 World Cup because of the country's human rights record. Saudi Arabia is currently the only candidate. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.